wonder how Shanahan feels about Zach Wilson. You can get Zach Wilson for nothing. And if you wanted to, you could trade Brock Purdy for a lot.
Mike Sando, I saw this aggregated on Niners Nation. An NFL executive told Mike Sando that the 49ers, quote, need to make a decision about whether they should just move on from this older core and build around Purdy, or do they trade Purdy, get stuff for him, and go with the cheaper option at quarterback.
Wow.
Why would they do that? Why would they do that?
Now, who said that? Sando?
So Mike Sando said an NFL executive told him this. I saw it aggregated on Niners Nation. I don't know where he got it, where the conversation actually happened. But, like, I just don't understand this. Brock is really good. Like, he is in absolute lockstep with his coach and vice versa, and you need that bridge to be easy to cross. And these two guys obviously talk to each other. As a matter of fact, they talk to each other in front of a locker room. Let's write 15 stories about that. Holy shit. We're as good as Brock Purdy, if not even better. You would be owing him eventually the same amount of money that you're about to owe Brock Purdy. There is no Groupon that comes with the starting quarterback. There is no discount beyond the rookie deal. The reset the team to a rookie quarterback deal is a great way to make sure your team never has a good quarterback ever. I mean, that's just insane to even think about that. This is a 24-year-old kid who's off to a Hall of Fame level start in terms of statistics and accuracy and passer rating and overall success that a team can have. The only thing he's guilty of is not winning a Super Bowl. I mean, this is a pretty damn good player. And having said all that, he needs to be better. This is like the biggest bounce back week of Brock's young career here. You know, Brock, you were at the center of last week's defeat. And here comes a team that you now need to beat. You know, this was a 31 touchdown, 11 interception quarterback last year. He's got 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions already this year. That ain't Brock.
Well, first of all, this cheaper option idea is a really interesting thing because who's cheaper? I mean, he's on a rookie contract right now. You're going to have to pay him a lot because he's played really well. But isn't the goal, as you just said, Damon, to get somebody who plays really well, and then eventually you're going to have to pay them? So you're not going to be able to avoid paying a quarterback. But it is interesting because they just had Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold was a cheaper option. And now he's in Minnesota with a good surrounding cast, and he's playing really well. And I wonder if deep down, Kyle Shanahan, who had great affinity for Sam Darnold,
there's a lot of people who are saying, you know, so Bryce Young's off to a measurably awful start in Carolina, but you can say everything in Carolina is awful right now. Put that young talent in a new situation. What do you got?
You're looking at that guy. How about the other guy? Maybe he's looking at Andy Dalton and saying, I mean, not that Andy Dalton is the answer, but maybe he's looking at Andy Dalton and saying, you know what? Look how much better Andy Dalton or Carolina played with Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton can play the quarterback position. He may not be spectacular, but he can play the quarterback position. Maybe we should trade Brock and go build up around some quarterback that today nobody thinks that highly of, but tomorrow they will. So if you have a conviction on a young, available, you know, maybe I believe that Zach Wilson badly wanted to be a Niner. And I believe that if Kyle Shanahan had had the second pick in that draft, obviously he would have gone with Lawrence, number 1. But if he had had the Jets pick at number 2, or if the Jets, let's just say, went with Lance at number 2, he would have gone with Zach Wilson at number 3. Now, that makes a lot of people sick, right? Because Zach Wilson's been really shitty. But Zach Wilson also has had moments where he's looked pretty good. And I wonder how Shanahan feels about Zach Wilson. You can get Zach Wilson for nothing. And if you wanted to, you could trade Brock Purdy for a lot. They're out of options. But then the other part of that is, do they move on from their older core? How exactly would you do that in any kind of a way that would be a positive for the team, other than just cutting people? Are teams going to trade for George Kittle? Are they going to trade for Nick Bosa? Are they going to trade for Trent Williams? Are there big burgeoning trade markets for the Niners' expensive players?
I don't know. Offensively, Trent Williams and George Kittle would be your 2 biggest trade pieces because they're established as very good at what they do. And They don't have a lot left on current deals. So, like, you know what you're taking in from a money standpoint. And you're cool with it because Trent Williams is still Trent Williams. And George Kittle is, I mean, I don't even know if you can make the argument that he is slowing down. He's been one of the best 49ers playing this season. He really has been. George Kittle's having a really good year.
He's a great player.
You could definitely, I think you would get a second round return on George Kittle. I don't think you're not getting a first for a tight end. Yeah, second, third. A second this draft, a fourth in an upcoming draft. You're looking for multiple pick returns on George Kittle if you were to put him on the block today.
Today. If you did it right now.
Yeah.
Before this trade deadline, like literally in the next 2 weeks.
Right. But the Niners can't afford to trade George Kittle and then turn around and say, we're going to go win football games in a year that's supposed to matter. I mean, they need him. George Kittle means more to the Niners than the assets returned for him probably in the future would mean to the Niners. So that's why you don't do that. I just don't see it. I really don't see they're not going to move off of Bosa. They're not going to move off of Trent Williams. They're not going to move off of George Kittle. I don't think you could get a fifth rounder for Deebo Samuel if you tried. You couldn't get anything for Brandon Ayuk, who's just eternally damaged goods now, if you tried. Christian McCaffrey obviously could have gotten you something, but with bilateral Achilles tendonitis, what general manager is giving you more than a third round pick for Christian McCaffrey at this point in his career? So who is the there in the trade that's supposed to reset everything? It would be getting out of salaried commitments. I mean, it would be an in-season cap dump. And I don't know if the 49ers need to do that.
You know what? I'm going to take a chance on one of these quarterbacks that were supposed to be the quarterback of the future that bombed in his first spot. And I'm going to go try to find that guy who's far cheaper and try to, have a reclamation project. Would you rather try to pick a quarterback out of the draft, or would you rather look around at the Bryce Youngs and the yesteryear top tier quarterbacks that haven't done it yet and say, hey, I can find one of these guys and turn them into Sam Darnold?
This is what Tampa did with Baker Mayfield, essentially, right? They looked at somebody else's not good enough for them. We think in a better situation, he'll be more than good enough for us. And they've had an awful lot of success with it. So, I mean, there's lots of different ways to team build and skin a cat. And that's one of them. I mean, to me, this show has been about roster construction and possible trades and what could be done. And could you flip this guy into that guy and get a different outcome with this guy if you use that guy and blah, 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 blah. To me, what I would like to see the 49ers do is not make any of these trades, not plan anything more for the future or down the road, and just put in Feliciano for Brendel and see if you can't get Jordan Mason to punch one in on first and goal. Like, that to me is where the whole thing needs to start. It's not another wide receiver, because no wide receiver can help you there. I would make some internal changes to see what you got against the Cowboys, and then go into that bye week and coach them up, coach. Like Kyle Shanahan, you drafted these players. You've committed to Ronnie Bell's year 3. You kept him. So go get something out of your guy now. You think he's this good to be on your team? Go get something out of him now. Thanks for watching. Tune into the Damon Bruce Show live on YouTube every weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific.